Hello, I'm Frank McSheen with Square Peg Consulting at the Whiteboard. I'm a supply chain cash guide, and these are the components of the business-to-business supply chain as I see it. And there are opportunities to generate more cash in every part of this process. Let me show you what I mean. Hello. In today's session, in our journey from focus on cost reduction to more on cash generation, I want to talk about a technique for keeping your main business indicators in front of you at all times called a single sheet of glass. So if you think of an iPad, that's the idea, is to be able to have all the key measures of your business right there in one view and showing the trends of these so you can see what's going on during the month and be able to take action and course corrections during the month in a timely manner rather than waiting to find out how things went through your P&L and your other financial analyses later. It starts with identifying some key categories. So I'm suggesting a few to you here. Safety should always be at the top. If it's really the most important thing, we always ought to put it at the top and talk about it first. Next, I use a customer service measure called the perfect order, which I've talked about in a previous session. It's really looking at your customer service through the eyes of the customer. Taking a look at sales and where are they coming from, taking a look at production or productivity, and also more on a monthly basis, looking at your inventory and your working capital and how it's serving you. Within there, you want to pick some items. So I'm going to suggest some. You'll probably have some ideas of your own. For safety, I always look at number of incidents and any lost time within those incidents, so we need no level of severity of our safety issues. For the perfect orders, so here we're looking at, did we receive the order on time? If I'm the customer, did I get it on time? Did I get everything I asked for? Was it all in good condition? And was the invoice correct? So you're looking at on-time delivery percent, fill rate, percent of orders without returns or without quality issues, and percent of orders the inventory was accurate. And those should be pretty high level goals. In the sales area, if you recall, our earliest session was we broke down the customers based on the dollars contribution over a period of a year. Looking at the customers that generate 80% of that, those are A customers, the next 15% are Bs, and the last 5% are Cs. So you want to see how are sales coming in against those categories, because we want to maximize sales to these guys, some here and less to the C customers. So we want to see that breakdown. And then of those sales, we need an estimated contribution. It does not have to be perfect or precise, but an estimated contribution level from those sales that week. In the productivity sense, some sort of sense about how long does it take us to produce an order. So I use the order cycle time, from the time we receive the order until the time it's ready to go out the door. And then from a productivity point of view, labor productivity, it's looking at earned hours, which we also covered in an earlier session. So that's how, based on the time it's expected to take us to produce or assemble something, we get credit for those. And we compare that to all of the hours that we worked and to see how close are we. And within there, I'd like to know of the total hours, how many are overtime hours. In the inventory area, I'm looking at days of supply, DOS, days of supply. Again, I segment the inventory similarly to the customers. I do it by item. The items that generate 80% of our contribution are A items, the next 15% B, and the last 5% C. And I may have different days of supply goals for each one of those. And lastly is inventory accuracy. If I'm doing cycle counts, whether it's weekly or monthly, whichever one you do, what's the percent of accuracy from those cycle counts? And so you're going to set some goals in the next column so you can see what are our targets, or if you do it graphically, you want to have a goal line in the picture. And you can see, so for safety, I would expect it to be 0 in terms of goals. For the perfect order, they should all be pretty high, like 95 or 96% or above, to make sure we're serving our customers the way we want to. You can have sales goals or percent of sales goals by A, B, and C customers in here. And you should have an estimated contribution goal tied to your budget, tied to your financial plan of some sort. And then order cycle time, that's going to range depending on your own process, but how fast would you like to get orders through your system? And then what's the level of productivity, which is probably not ever going to be 100% because we have breaks, lunch, meetings, things that take away from our production time, but should be in the 85 to 90% range. Days of supply for inventory, for our A items, those are the ones that make us the most money. We want to make those and turn those as frequently as possible, so maybe 30 days. For Bs, we don't want to make them as frequently as the A's, but we also want to make sure we don't run out of them, so maybe that's in the 60 to 90 day range. C items, those are the least contributing, but also the most costly if you don't have them. So we want to have plenty, so 90 to 180 is not unusual for that group. And inventory accuracy has got to be very high, 98% or above. If you'll do this, you'll see that you'll get a pretty good picture of your business all in one view. And you can take action during the month on a timely basis as you see these trends unfold each week, as opposed to having to wait to figure out how things went at the end of the month or when you get your financial statements.